Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning into the Stuff I Heard podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Peak, and today happens to be a rainy Saturday in April. For a lot of people, this is a big celebration. It's Easter weekend, so happy Easter, everybody. Um, for others, it is the beginning of their spring break. So if you're on spring break, hope you're having a good spring break. Um, for me, it is the beginning of the busy season at work. About a year ago is when I went back to work after being injured from a horrific eye injury. I had a baling wire incident in October of 2020 and went back to work April 13th of 2021. And so a year back at work, getting into the swing of things again and learning new jobs and tasks and things like that, and trying to see where I can help out the most within my company has been sort of a new challenge. Um, with our company, we are constantly growing. We're constantly adding new people, and I am a trainer where I work. So there's always the opportunity to help other people learn how to do things in a safer way, in a better way, and also to learn how to do the job basically. Um, there's the old saying, teach a man to fish, feed him, or give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, feed him for life. I'm hoping to help people learn to feed themselves for life. It's every day is an opportunity to do something with your life. And most people, I don't know, are they pursuing that? Or am I in the rare air of just constantly striving to do better or to be better or to want to be better? I know there's days I don't. There's days you just want to survive. There's days where my body is beat up or past the limits of being exhausted. And I know that there's a lot of us out there that are, dealing with our own issues, whether it's personal or whatever. And there's just not enough energy to do anything other than just make it through the day or just make it to the weekend or just make it past this week. What I worry about, though, is that a lot of us, me included, we're constantly looking forward to things to the point that we miss the little details during the week. We miss all of the tiny morsels of life that are happening every day because we are so focused on if I could just get to this, whatever that is, whether it's a time period or a thing or an achievement. It's if I could just get to this part. And it reminds me of the movie Click with Adam Sandler, where he goes to Bed Bath and Beyond and he runs into Christopher Walken in the Beyond department and he hands him this weird looking remote. And he's like, this remote will change your life. And he's like, okay, yeah, sure. And he learns along the way that there's elements of his life he really doesn't like. And he can just hit fast forward during those parts and get to the good parts. And I don't think that movie gets enough credit for being ahead of its time. Most of us look at things that we have to do, things we have to endure, things we have to grind out to get to the good parts. I know for me, like I have weekends that are coming up where I have things that I'm looking forward to doing. And I'm thinking, wow, how many weekends is it until I get there? And I go, all right, I got that week, I got this week, I get the other week. And it's hard to plan things during the week, especially if you work a busy schedule like I do. It's hard to plan things during the week that you go, okay, but on this day, I'm also going to do this. And on this day, I'm also going to do that. And if you do that, then after a while, it does catch up with you mentally. And you do go, wow, I just never seem to have any time off because I am going all the time, which is good and bad. I mean, it's good to be useful. It's good to be learning. It's good to be experiencing life. It's also bad in a way because you sort of pass by life so quickly because you're constantly going and going and going. And some people, that's too much. Some people, the anxiety of it makes them crazy and they go, all right, that's it. I got to deconnect. I got to pull myself out of society for a while and just have a moment to myself. And some people aren't wired that way. Some people are like, no, no, no. I got to keep going as hard and fast as possible because that will distract me from thinking about anything else. Um, I've had conversations lately with a lot of people who talked about their own anxiety and depression, and they've said the way I combat that is staying busy. And I get that. I totally get that. You know, during my injury, during my time off from work, when I really had nothing to do other than heal, there were a lot of days that were passing where I just physically couldn't do the things that I wanted to do. I had weight restrictions of things I could or couldn't lift. I had limitations due to my vision being severely altered. Um, there were a lot of things where I just couldn't pick up and go because maybe money wasn't available. Maybe it was because of my disability. I was getting a partial check, and so it was like I can't justify spending money to do this thing I want to do while there's no money coming in. And so that was just a time to sort of sit and rest. And I had not had that time before. And it was weird how having an injury like that, so severe, was the thing that was giving me time to sort of breathe for a moment. And I'd forgotten how to breathe. I know that sounds silly because we breathe all the time, right? I'm breathing right now while I'm talking to you. But I forgot how to breathe. I forgot to take a moment and just measure out the day and go, okay, I'm up. Let's have some coffee. Let's do something productive. Let's work on learning something. Let's motivate ourselves to be physical somehow, even though we have limitations, even if it's doing stuff around the house. Let's go for a walk. Let's, whatever. Let's go run some errands. Let's go visit a friend. Let's reach out to someone and communicate with someone we haven't talked to in a while. And it's all in the efforts of mental health. It's all in the efforts of just maintaining a sense of normalcy and trying to find balance. And I think we all do that. I don't know if all of us are successful at that, but we all try to do that. So anyway, this year, this time period passed, and I was very reflective of that. This past week, I thought, wow, it's been a year. It's interesting. This has been a very hard year, thanks to the pandemic that was going on, and you know, jumping right back into work in a time period when we were probably the busiest we've ever been, and we were ill prepared for it. Um, there's been a lot of there's been a lot of growth personally and a lot of growth in the community. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been part of that. I know that there's a lot of friends that are close to me, family that's close, that have helped me sort of get through this. And we've been able to reconnect in ways that have been very beneficial to both of us. And to my wife, who's just gone above and beyond to try to keep some sense of normalcy, even in the chaos, which is our life. Um, you know, her daddy passed away this year. Recently, it's been very difficult. I'm hoping to do that for her. I'm hoping to be there for her. I'm hoping to be able to sort of comfort her in a way that is helpful. I know there's a lot of this we can't really control because we're waiting for things to happen. We're waiting for the death certificate to come through so we can take care of paperwork, so we can take care of other things. There's just a lot of stuff that is just sort of piling up. Meanwhile, life is still happening. Work is still happening. Stuff with kids are still happening. Stuff with grandsons still happening. I mean, and you got to take care of the little things so that you can take care of the big things. They say all the time that, it's like when you're on a plane and the plane's going down, you got to put the oxygen on yourself first before you can help somebody else. Sometimes you have to practice safe care or self care. I know for her personally, that means, having some quiet time after work, having a little bit of time to go to the gym or work out with her friends, or maybe it's just a time to sit back and not do nothing. Uh, Sometimes it's, hey, let's get into a cleaning trend. Let's really clean this place because there's times where we forget to clean stuff like we should. You can't clean the entire house every day, and sometimes it takes a little while for you to be busy and then suddenly go, oh, we gotta do XYZ. And you go, oh yeah, let's do that. And listen, if you're a husband out there and you're listening to this, or you're in a relationship or looking to be in a relationship, understand that you got to do your part too. You can't just check out and be like, nah, that's for her to do. Listen, get out of your own way and do yourself a favor and jump right on that grenade and say, hey, let me help you. What do you need? I'm in it because it matters. The responsibility of the house cannot fall upon one person. Both people have to do their part. You have to be a partner. You cannot be one side of the whole thing. You can't just be like, nah, it's for her to take care of. I do stuff outside, she does stuff inside. Well, that may be, but wouldn't you like help once in a while? You signed up to be a partner. Do your part. That's all I'm saying. Okay. So this is the Stuff I Heard podcast. So let's talk about some stuff I heard. It's been kind of a busy time period. I think Elon Musk has been busy making people nervous. I'm not sure if it's a bad thing. I've heard some people say they thought it was a bad thing that Elon Musk apparently bought something like, I don't exactly know the numbers. This is stuff I heard, not stuff I know. He bought like controlling interest in Twitter stock. He bought like 9.3 percent of all Twitter stock, which makes him the largest shareholder in Twitter. And then he immediately started like challenging the board on things like, hey, as a major shareholder, shouldn't we have something like an edit button? People have been asking for years for it. What do you think? And it was interesting because I was watching it before he bought Twitter, and he was on Twitter saying stuff like, um, does anyone think that Twitter upholds free speech? And I thought that was very interesting. That was a very interesting question. I think I wrote back to him and said, why would they need to? At this point, it's out of control. And I don't think they have enough resources or things available to limit it, even if they wanted to. And of course, he didn't reply to me. He's dealing with the whole world tweeting to him. So somebody else wrote in and said, hey, Elon, are you thinking about starting up your own social network? And he wrote underneath it, he replied back and said, maybe. And then someone else wrote back and said, wait, are you planning on buying Twitter? Which he replied with like a laughing emoji. He was like, we'll see. I was like, wait, what's happening? Now, Elon has done a lot of interesting things that have sort of challenged the normal for what people think is normal. Okay. He built electric cars when the world was running on petroleum based cars and has proven that Tesla is a very successful company. I talk about Tesla a good bit on this podcast because I want one eventually. I think they're the future. I think his is the only company out there that's making your car better the longer you own it. They're constantly doing software updates. They're constantly giving away things like, oh, if you bought this model and you know, you get free supercharging anytime you're out and about from now on. Like he just randomly says the craziest stuff that most people who own companies wouldn't say. Um, he went on Rogan and said, "Listen, I'm lifting all my patents. If you want to build a better electric car, go for it. Here's all my patents. You can have them for free. I don't care. I just want us to build a better future, and I think this is the way." And I thought, God, what a gutsy move for a guy who really doesn't need to do this. Um, where is the benefit to him? And I still, I mean, I know he's making money. I know that SpaceX is doing well and they're constantly sending satellites into orbit. And he's started up an internet based company or an internet company that basically gives people internet around the globe so that you don't have to have a certain internet provider or be within a certain city to get the internet. Like the world could get internet. It's called Starlink. I talked about how in this war with Russia and Ukraine that Russia was doing everything they could to stop the Ukraine from being able to communicate to each other. And Elon sent over some ridiculous amount of Starlink satellite hookups and was like, here, use these. And just sent over, I don't even know what the number was. It was thousands of these things. Said, here, use these. Be careful though, because they're monitoring. And if they find you, they'll probably try to target you. So use these, be smart. survive. That's not a political issue. That's a human rights issue. That's a human need. And we still have companies out there that are like, we need to bump the price on this because we're not rich enough. And we're seeing that right now with fuel. Right now, fuel to drive our vehicles, the price is going up. The price is constantly going up. Meanwhile, you go, oh, well, this must be because Biden's got this going on, and the US has got troops over here, and we got to pay for that. And we're giving away money to this, and we got to pay for that. And it's true that a majority of what fuel costs is taxes. There's also these companies like Exxon and Shell and BP that are posting multi-trillion dollar profits per quarter. Per quarter. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. It's on Twitter. You can look it up. It's on Google. I'm sure you could Google it. They're raising the price to just profit. Because why not, right? Who's going to stop them? Well, Elon can. Think about this. Okay. Even if you're not a Tesla fan, think about this. Because of what he's done with Tesla and with solar charging and all of this infrastructure of building superstations, supercharging stations, he's making it normal for us to have the possibility of electric vehicles. Now, people go, yeah, but they need these coal plants to provide power. They don't. You can put up solar. Solar's free. I mean, it costs you to set up your solar, but after that, it just charges from the sun all the time, even on cloudy days. I got a cloudy day today. It's raining a little bit. It could still charge. So all we got to do is set up the infrastructure, right? Now, I've seen online that it says that the world does not have enough rare minerals to provide solar for everybody who wants it, or to provide batteries for everybody who wants to drive an electric vehicle. Okay. And what's your point? I don't know the numbers, but let's ballpark it. Let's talk out loud here. I know I'm saying it's just me, but listen to me for a second. Okay. What if let's say there's, I don't know, a trillion cars out there, and that may be a huge overstatement. It may be a huge understatement. I don't know. Let's say there's a trillion cars out there, okay? And maybe there's only enough rare minerals for half of that. So half of the people could drive a battery powered car, vehicle, whatever, that charges possibly from the sun. What if half of our energy needs were taken away? Is that why the gas companies are profiting so much right now? Because they're like, this is all going to go away. We got to make it while we can. The economy's up. We got to make money. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Is that why? Is that what's going on? Or are they just greedy now? And they're like, I can be dead tomorrow. Let me make my trillions off these people now. These dumb idiots who haven't figured out how to organize. These people who won't switch over. Maybe. Maybe. It's very possible. So anyway, back to my point. Elon wants to buy Twitter. He apparently made an offer publicly this past week to buy all the company, just buy the company. I think it was something like $54 billion, $54.8 billion. He made a public offer. I want to buy this. He said he wants to take Twitter private. What that means for some people, that means that he has said he wants to open free speech again. He wants to make Twitter a place where people can speak freely about anything. Is that good or is that bad? That comes into a whole debate about what is free speech. Is free speech getting on a social media platform and spouting off a bunch of hate? Is free speech about talking about what you like to do in bed? Is free speech talking about what you like or dislike about your government? Is free speech talking about how you want to hurt somebody? what part of free speech then are you responsible for if you're a privately held company? If you're a social media platform, what part of free speech are you protecting or are you actually hurting the people with? Um, I think that Elon is not an idiot. I think that he's a genius. I also think that possibly he's around a lot of people who are like minded, who are positive people, who are thinking about how to make the world a better place, who are thinking about how to help people. And unlike Jeff Bezos, um, he's publicly putting his money where his mouth is nonstop. I know a lot of people look at him and go, God, this guy's an idiot. He's just doing this and he's doing that and he's doing it for attention. And he's so what if he is doing it for attention? He doesn't have to. If he takes Twitter private, what does that do for the shareholders? Well, when he buys Twitter, I think it makes their shares worth more money. If he takes them private, doesn't that cap off what the price of Twitter is? So that then if you want to buy into Twitter, you end up paying more? What if he then goes public later? Does that raise the price even more? I don't know. I don't know enough about stocks. I'd be interested to ask somebody who knows stuff about stocks. But from what I can see, reading about it on Twitter, a lot of people are for it. A lot of Twitter people who own parts of Twitter are like, let them buy it. Sure, absolutely. It's going to make me a bunch of money because apparently Twitter's been flat for years. What will it mean? I don't know. Will people stop using Twitter? Maybe. I've seen some posts where people are, let's just say Trump fans, not even Trump fans, Trump religion. That's a good way to put it. Trump religion. Yeah. They're not just people who like Trump. They're people who pray to Trump before they pray to God kind of people. Um, Suddenly they're like, finally, I get my voice back. I'm like, you're on here now. How do you not have your voice now? It's a social media platform. Is this a version of the Wild Wild West? Is this HBO's kind of Westworld that we're in? Is this a step towards this metaverse thing? Is this where we get to find out if people untethered become even further untethered? Or is this where if he's allowed to buy Twitter and make it private, is this something that would be a pay for site? I don't know. I don't know any of the information. I know that this is unprecedented for social media to even be a thing. It is new to us that you could possibly purchase a social media platform. I don't know what it means for the future. I don't know what it's going to turn into. I'm kind of curious and I want to talk to people about it. I have some podcasts coming up with some guests. Just to kind of give you a heads up, I've got one coming up with a fellow who has a podcast called Part Time Struggle, Matthew Tarleton, and I'm looking forward to that. I also got anyway, I got some others coming up. I just want you guys to be aware that there's things in the works, and I want to have these kind of conversations. I want to talk about what does it mean. What does it mean to us? I can speculate about all sorts of things, and I can accept ideas in all sorts of ways. But I think that it's interesting to have this perspective and to have this conversation amongst us so that when we're around idiots and they say crazy shit, we can be like, hey, listen, you know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? And we can sort of respond and let people know there's something more going on. There's something better going on, possibly, or something that's risky. I mean, but this is part of that conversation. So back to stuff I heard. I'm gonna pivot just a second, okay? Um, Bridgerton season 2 came out. I really liked season 1. Season 2 was great. I think that the success of season 1 caught Netflix off guard. I don't think they were prepared for how successful it was going to be. It was a huge success for them. And the first season was written in such a way that you're sort of left knowing they could do more, but you're not really sure how they would do more. And season 2 is great. It also opens it up into what could they possibly do for season 3. Now, season 2 is there's more open-endedness to it that shows possibilities for season 3. And I really hope that they have like a 4 or 5 year plan. Um, if it's called Bridgerton, then it has to be, in my opinion, based off this family whose last name is Bridgerton, right? So the mom has multiple kids. Two of them now are married. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. She has more kids. Is the Bridgerton series going to go with each of the kids until they're all married? Possibly. I guess it depends on the success of the show, right? So if you signed on as one of the young kids, you're really hoping that this keeps going, because then this could be a show for you for a while. Um, if you're one of the other compelling people on the show, there's nothing but opportunity for you to make more great content and wear spectacular costumes and play these marvelous deep characters that get to interact with each other in just the most compelling backdrop. I mean, this is a beautiful show. The costumes are amazing. The characters have so much depth to them. You can almost feel the velvet of it. It is beautiful. Um, I like the rich storyline. I like everything about it. I like the fact that they're taking modern music and making it dated for the show. Like they're having them play, modern day music on harpsichords and organs and string instruments, and they're having these great balls and dances and stuff, and it's all set to this. I like it. I like everything about it. I hope it doesn't turn into a musical at some point where someone breaks out into song to debut their special talent. Usually that's when a show goes, yeah, we're out of ideas. What do we do? Oh, we got Bethany over here. She says she used to be an opera singer. Do you want to have her do a line and we could fill 20 minutes here? I mean, it's at that point you go, yeah, I think the show's dead now. For me, that happened on Grey's Anatomy. I think it was like season 3 or something like that, where they were like, we're gonna have a musical episode. I was like, yep, I'm done. Click. And I quit watching it. I didn't know it was going to keep going on like it has, but also I didn't care, because at that point I thought, yeah, your original writers have all checked out and now you're just out of content. My lights were blinking. Did you see that? I think we had a surge of some kind with power. That's kind of interesting. So anyway, Bridgerton season 2 was great. Super enjoyed it. I'm kind of wondering if I should wrap this up before I lose power. My lights have blinked a few times. Goodness. It's not storming outside. That's weird. All right. So it's doing it again. What is wrong with you, light bulb? Maybe it's not. Am I having technical difficulties with my light bulb? I don't know. Um, all right. So season 2, big hit. Um, I know as a white guy, I feel ashamed that I've slept on Indian chicks. Man, very hot, very hot. Uh, sort of, yeah, quite impressive. Um, all right, so I am catching up on Shameless. I know Shameless is a series that was out on Showtime a long time ago. I don't have Showtime, but now they're showing them on Netflix. And I finished season 1. I've been watching a little bit, sort of each night. Um, it's a very rough show to watch if you're not prepared to watch it. I knew what I was getting into before I started, so I wasn't totally shocked. My wife had watched all of them before, and I'd caught an episode here and there. But starting from the beginning, I appreciate what it is. I appreciate the fact that it is showing people a part of life, a part of existence that is very rough and very real for a lot of people. Um, it's interesting how showing the world the hardest parts of your life as a story, and if you can make it Hollywood versions with pretty people and big stars playing the part, that suddenly you get recognized as being a great storyteller. And it is difficult to show your past in a cinematic way. But I'm sure that at some point a writer sat down with a piece of paper or a typewriter or a laptop or something and said, okay, so here's this story. And they started telling the story about a family like this. And from that, a screenplay got written. And from that, the show got written. And it is a crazy story. But it's also a story that many of us know parts of very well. Um, it reminded me of my youth. It reminded me of people in my youth. It reminded me of myself in my youth. It reminded me of elements of things that have happened and how we all find coping mechanisms to make them seem normal, and how you're willing to accept a lot of faults because of the people that matter to you most. And I don't think that most people would get that from this show. I think a lot of people watch it just for the entertainment value of going, can you believe these crazy people exist? Yeah, I totally understand that. And I think that the success of the show probably is watched more by the people who can relate to it more than the people who are just entertained by it. So anyway, I finished season 1. I'm starting season 2. I like it so far. Um, Moon Knight is on Disney Plus. Moon Knight apparently is a DC comic or a Marvel comic. I said DC. What the heck am I thinking? Moon Knight is a Marvel comic. Uh, I'm amazed they keep coming up with comic book characters, but I'm also not amazed because I know that there are millions of comic books out there and lots of characters have been created over time. And I'm sort of I'm sort of impressed that Kevin Feige has found a way to bring in characters that very few people have heard about, or, in my world, people that I know, um, these characters that are so rich, and you get A-list actors to play them in just these fantastic stories. And listen, if I was an actor right now and I considered myself a real actor, I'd be like, yeah, I don't do those films. And at a certain point, you'd be like, yeah, if I don't do these films, I'm not working. So you sort of lift that idea from your brain and you go, no, no, no. I think I want to make this character like a really in-depth character and give it more to it. And Oscar Isaac is playing the main character very well. Sort of to give you a background of what this is, you're introduced right away to a guy who has a split personality, and he's not fully aware that he has more than one personality. He also comes to find out pretty soon in the first episode or two that he has a superhero inside of him that is somehow tied to an Egyptian god. And it is there's elements of it that are really funny. There's elements in it that are like, holy crap, can you believe that just happened? Um, the show is the show is smarter than I am, if that makes any sense. Ethan Hawke plays what's considered the protagonist in this. Um, Fantastic role for him. he is he is controlled and he is very present on screen. Um, he owns the screen when he's on the screen. He knows he's an actor. He knows he's a movie star. He knows that generations of people have watched him play roles and have respected him for it. Um, and he is fantastic in this. Um, I can't wait to see how the show is going to progress. I think I'm 4 episodes in now. Is that right? I think it's 4. Whatever it is currently, I'm up to date. It comes out every Wednesday on Disney Plus. It's fantastic. Um, It's one of those that when it started, I thought, yeah, I guess I'll watch this crap, whatever. And then right away, I was like, "Ooh, this looks like it's gonna be good." See, this is different than WandaVision. WandaVision, I think I was like 3 or 4 episodes in, and I was like, I don't know, I still don't get it. And then it got really fantastic at the end. This is pretty good from the get-go. This is pretty fantastic because you're like, wait, what's happening? Holy crap, this is so interesting. It gets you right away. And I'm curious to see how they're going to take it. I know that Marvel has a plan. I know that Kevin Feige has a plan. I know that Disney has a plan. They outline all this crap way ahead of time because they're professionals and they understand what they're going to do with storylines and how to target and tie people in together. Um, there's a lot of people saying that there's a reference of bringing in different stories to this, and I just kind of want to see how it plays out. So I guess along with you, I'll be watching whatever they put out, and I'll be a fan probably because so far everything they've done I've been a fan of. Um, yeah. And listen, if I don't like it, I'll tell you I don't like it. I'm not going to hide the fact. I told you I didn't like WandaVision for the first 3 or 4 episodes. I was just like, what is this crap? I don't know what the heck they're doing. Um, but I'm going to tell you what I think. And if you have a different opinion, share it with me. If you want to talk about it, come on the podcast. Let's talk about it. This is what conversation is. It's a back and forth. We can all do our part. You want to add something? I can add something. We can just play with it, see what happens. All right. Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna cut this off. I feel like I've talked enough. Shout out to Elon Musk. You guys are killing it. Whatever you're in, I want to be in it. If you want to be on the podcast, Elon, I'd love to have you here at my house. I know it'd be really creepy for you to come to Florence, South Carolina to sit on a little podcast that, maybe gets 100,000 downloads ever. But so far, trending. Yay. So thank you. Thank you to everybody who's listening. Thank you to everybody who's sharing the podcast. If you haven't, please take a moment and rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. It does help the podcast grow. It helps us reach more of an audience. Leave a review. Try to share this with your friends if you want. And if you want to be on the podcast, reach out to us at www.stuffiheard.com. We've got stuff there with every episode. I've got a link to merch, all kinds of fun stuff. And if you have ideas of things I need to do different or would like to do, throw me an idea out there. I'm into it. I've toyed around with the idea of doing a 13th Beer podcast, probably maybe putting that on a Patreon possibly. That way I wouldn't get in trouble for things that I say because it would be Patreon and not YouTube. What do you think? Could that be a thing? I think so. So anyway, y'all take care. Thanks for listening. And I always end this by saying, cue the cow.
So I want you guys to give me more likes. Give me more likes.